How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the beast of the Cataclysm? Part 2. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. 10 years. 10 long years had passed since Rizavum had attempted to murder Naruto and Kuno. Things were tough especially for Naruto and Kuno, despite being comfortable around Ijuka, and Syareoo Kuno wasn't fond of devils after meeting the son of Lucifer. Naruto on the other hand made a vow that he would make the son of Lucifer paid for what he did to himself and Kuno. In the past 10 years both Naruto and Kuno had grown, not just physically but also mentally. Naruto was no longer a small 7-year-old child, but a tall muscular young man with light tanned skin, shoulder-length spiky blue hair, while the tips of his hair turned blonde. While Kuno went from an adorable 7-year-old girl to a young beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure, she was the spitting image of her mother. She truly was an elegant princess through and through. Naruto had regained most of his memories over the past 10 years. At first Naruto was conflicted as he always promised himself he would become Hokage, and he promised Sakura he would bring back Sasuke. But as the years went on Naruto simply stopped caring, most of his memories from the elemental nations were negative anyways. And he had a mother and father in this world, something he never had in the elemental nations. But there was one positive thing: he still had Kurama, the giant furry pain in the ass that had been with him since birth. And it didn't take Naruto long to remaster most of his abilities apart from Senjutsu. Well, it was quite simple. Naruto's new draconic body was not adapted to absorbing nature energy like his previous body. So, he would need to find a way to absorb nature energy into his body. And when he brought this up to Tiamat, she was worried at first, but then she decided to get in contact with an old friend of hers, Yulong. Sun Wukong agreed to train Naruto in the arts of Senjutsu and Taki. And much to the surprise of the former Monkey King and everyone else excluding Kurama of course. They were all in absolute awe at how fast Naruto mastered Senjutsu. Usually it takes years to master it, and Naruto did it in less than a month. And not only did this increase Naruto's skills, but also reawaken his old Senjutsu from the elemental nations, which was even stronger than before. Kuno also joined in with Naruto and started learning Senjutsu from Sun Wukong, and she was a natural just like Naruto, although she didn't master it fast as he did. And due to how much time she spent around Naruto, Kurama decided to give her a little gift since he had taken a liking to the young vixen as well. Having Naruto bring her into his mindscape, where Kurama injected her with a large amount of his chakra. Not only did this process grant Kuno a chakra pathway, but also turned her into a pseudo-Jinchuriki. Naruto along with Kuno had both mastered many types of magic over the years. Although the one magic that Naruto seemed to enjoy using the most was the magic he learned from Amaterasu. It was her personal magic known as Heavenly Body Magic, which allowed the Uzumaki-turned-dragon to wield stars, meteorites, black holes, and other celestial objects. Then Kuno on the other hand, learned how to wield Amaterasu's eternal black flames, flames as hot as the sun, and would burn for 7 days and 7 nights non-stop. And this is where we find our young couple today. A young couple were sleeping together on a large comfortable bed. The young male with whisker marks on his cheeks, wearing a loose-fitting yukata that was blue and gold in color. Laying next to him with her head on his chest was a beautiful young woman with long golden blonde hair, wearing an elegant beautiful sea green yukata, which was practically falling off her form. Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes, glancing towards the peaceful sleeping form of Kuno. He gave a small smile. Before gently placing a kiss on her forehead, causing her to stir in her sleep. Naruto looked towards the digital alarm clock on the desk, which read 8:15 in the morning. I guess we slept in today. Naruto thought as he gently began to shake his fiancée Kuno. Yes, the young Uzumaki-turned-dragon proposed to her a few months back, and of course, she said yes, and she made love to him like a fox in heat. Kuno-chan. Kuno-chan, wake up. It's morning already. Just a little bit longer, Naru-kun. Naruto felt her tighten her grip on him as she nestled into Naruto's yukata. In the past 10 years since Naruto had been going in between the underworld and Kyoto. Naturally Tiamat preferred Naruto to stay with her always, but sadly she soon realized that she couldn't keep Naruto all to herself any longer. Ijuka had given someone else the job of the 4th secret judge of rated games, that way Tiamat could be with Naruto to protect him. As Ijuka knew he couldn't always be around to protect Naruto, and this seemed to be the right decision in his mind, to which Tiamat agreed. Misaka became even more protective over her daughter Kuno and would personally accompany her daughter anywhere she went when she could. Also, when Amaterasu had time off she would spend time with Naruto and Kuno. And while Naruto was off training getting stronger, Kuno was busy learning about all the roles that came with being the leader of Kyoto's Yokai faction. And throughout the years Kuno and Naruto's friendship blossomed into a beautiful loving relationship, and now they were engaged to be married on her 21st birthday. Naruto couldn't help but smirk as he shook her again. We already slept in, and Yazhahu is probably wondering what we're doing right now. Kunu got up slowly, stretching and yawning as her large breasts were a jingle, almost falling out of her yukata. She glanced at the clock before her eyes widened and quickly jumped out of bed, with her yukata falling to the floor in the process. A dusting of red blush appeared on Naruto's cheeks as he decided to get up as well. The large chamber with a flaunted ceiling held up by colossal pillars of white marble. Crimson silk sewn with golden thread hung from the ceiling and pillars. The floor was of marble bricks, and off to the two corners of the massive chamber were pools of crystal water held an assortment of beautiful koi fish. Near the back of the chambers seated was a wide throne of vibrant scarlet and glaring white. Yusaka sat in a large throne with a rather annoyed look on her face as her tail swayed back and forth, showing how annoyed she was. Where are they? They're already 45 minutes late. Yusaka thought in an annoyed manner. Standing off to the side wearing a royal blue kimono was Tiamat, while Ijuka was wearing a pale blue and green kimono. Where do you think they are, Ijuka-kun? Tiamat asked her mate, who simply shrugged his shoulders. Your guess is as good as mine, dear. But knowing Naruto, he's either sleeping or him and Kunu are getting it on. The current Beelzebub said while waiting patiently for his son and future daughter-in-law to show up. Yusaka turned to Tiamat and Ijuka with a curious expression. Aren't the two of you in the least bit annoyed that our children are still not here? Yusaka asked with a delicate eyebrow raised. Tiamat shrugged her shoulders. I would be lying if I said I wasn't annoyed. But cut them some slack, they're only 45 minutes late, it could be worse. Tiamat said while Ijuka nodded, remembering one of the novels Naruto had written over the years. Naruto's first book was called The Tales of Pain. Nagato. Naruto's second book was called The Tales of the Copy Ninja. Kakashi. Naruto's third book was called The Tales of the Sacrificial Crow. Itachi. Naruto's fourth book was called The Tales of the Red Death. Kushina. Naruto's fifth book was called The Tales of the Yellow Flash. Minato. Naruto's sixth book was called The Tales of the Toad Sage. Jiraiya. And Naruto's seventh and final book was called The Tales of the Biju. Kurama and his siblings. After regaining his memories, Naruto decided to write the life stories of everyone he had been connected to. And this book series was a smash hit, and everyone, especially Amaterasu, Yusaka, Tiamat, Ijuka, Syareoo, Susanoo, Tsukiyomi, Sun Wukong, and several other people had fallen in love with the 7-book series. And Naruto was thankful that Kurama knew so much about his original father Minato, his original mother Kushina, his own senseis Jiraiya and Kakashi, along with his 8 other siblings. However, the novels about Nagato and Itachi were a bit trickier, but Naruto had enough information on them to write a decent-sized story. Soon the sound of footsteps could be heard, and they were getting louder. It sounded almost as if someone was running towards the throne room. A moment later, Naruto and Kunu burst into the throne room, which Yusaka sent a glare towards the pair, letting them know how annoyed she was. Kunu promptly hid behind Naruto while he was sweating bullets. Yusaka slowly stood up from her throne before making her way over to the couple, her frown turned into a sickly sweet smile. Tiamat couldn't help but snicker at Naruto's predicament, while Ijuka couldn't help but shake his head at his son, gaining the wrath of Yusaka. Naruto-kun, Kunu-chan, why are you so late? You weren't fooling around, were you? She asked in an extremely innocent tone as the couple shook their heads furiously. No, Hahu. The lovers yelled in unison. It took Yusaka years to get Naruto to call her Hahu instead of Bachan or Yusaka-chan. At first Tiamat didn't like the idea of Naruto calling Yusaka Hahu, while Ijuka really didn't seem to care that much. Then why were you late? We overslept. Yusaka's face faltered at the simple reply. To be honest, she was expecting something much dirtier than that. This caused the dragon and devil couple to snicker as Yusaka sent them a glare. Turning her attention back to her daughter and her future son-in-law. Amaterasu-sama has informed me there have been many human casualties in the town of Kuo. And they were caused all by stray exorcists and fallen angels, and the sisters of the current Lucifer and Leviathan have failed to do anything about it, Yusaka said. Ijuka couldn't help but palm his face as he groaned into his hand. Surziches, you idiot. Your sister is too young and unexperienced to rule over a town. Even if Seraphil's younger sister is with her. The current Beelzebub thought to himself. Naruto resisted the urge to pinch the bridge of his nose before he stopped. Wait, the sisters of the current Lucifer and Leviathan? When the hell did that happen? Wow. Hold on a second, did you just say the younger sisters of Surziches and Seraoba? Naruto asked with a confused expression. I could have sworn Syareoo was the one elected to be in charge of Kuo town. Naruto asked. That's because he turned it down. And before we could come up with another decision, Surziches came up with the idea of Rias and Sona being left in charge of Kuo. Ijuka answered. Kunu didn't like the sound of that at all. She had met Syareoo a few times when she accompanied Naruto and her mother to the underworld. And she had taken a liking to the next heir of the Bale clan, who in her opinion was a noble, calm and a kind-hearted person. And, the Bay Layer was not only Naruto's rival, but also one of the few people in their age range who could challenge Naruto and hold his own against the Blue Net. And even knowing neither Naruto nor Kuno had met Ria's grimoire, and they already knew they wouldn't like her from what Ijuka had told them about her. Apparently, she had Surziches wrapped around her little finger and was extremely spoiled and had a tendency of lying. So, you're saying that there's been many human casualties in Kuo? And they've all been caused by stray exorcists and fallen angels. So why hasn't Sona or Ria's done anything about them? Kuno asked her mother with a neutral expression. If I were to guess out of Sona and Ria's, which one would allow this to happen? I would go with the latter of the two. Sona Citri would never allow something like this to happen, she would have annihilated the fallen angels and stray exorcist immediately. Ijuka added. And from what I've heard, Ria's gained all her peerage members after they've suffered some type of tragedy. Tiamat added with a frown marrying her delicate features. So, I take it Ami Opa wants us to do something about it? Naruto said, gaining a more serious expression. Yes. Amaterasu-sama really wants you and Kuno to attend classes at Kuo Academy as a student to get to the bottom of this. And once you do that, she said you're both free to leave, or if you choose to stay it's your choice. Yusaka explained. Well, I guess it can't be helped. Naruto sighed before nodding. I'll inform her right away, in the meantime go enjoy yourselves, do something together. Yusaka dismissed them, as the lovers bowed. Ijuka stepped forward as he was holding two boxes, one was cerulean blue, the other was golden yellow. Hold on you two, I got a gift for the both of you. The current Beelzebub said with a smile. Naruto instantly recognized the boxes his father was holding, they were evil pieces. And he also noticed there were two sets of them. Dusan? Why do you have two sets of evil pieces on you? Naruto asked as he felt Kuno starting to get uncomfortable next to him. Ijuka chuckled as he handed the blue box to Naruto and the yellow one to Kuno. These are not evil pieces, although they are similar. Naruto, the pieces that you possess are known as dragon pieces, think of them as a dragon version of evil pieces. The current Beelzebub said with a proud smile as he glanced at the Yokai princess. As for you Kunoheim, what I gave to you are kitsune pieces. It's a kitsune version of evil pieces. Naruto opened his box and he knew what evil pieces looked like, they look like white chest pieces. Although after a devil bonded with their evil pieces they would change color, however Naruto's chest pieces seemed to be made from blue crystals. The same goes for Kuno, except that her set were yellow in color instead of blue. Now all you have to do is flow your power into the pieces and then take the king piece into you. Ijuka instructed, as the young couple did as they were told. Upon doing so Naruto's pieces became more jagged and spiky, while Kuno's became more round and smooth, but both sets seemed to be giving off an eerie glow. Naruto placed the king piece against his chest, as did Kuno. Within seconds, the pieces sunk into them as their power seemed to increase by a small margin. Ijuka's smile seemed to increase in size, as Yusaka and Tiamat were also happy. It was a success, the same as both of your Kachans. The current Beelzebub said, catching the attention of Naruto and Kuno, who both stared at him. Yeah, I made a set for both Tiamat and Yusaka. I thought it would be a sweet going away present. Ijuka said offhandedly. So, who's going to be your queen Naruto-kun? Tiamat asked her son. I'm also curious who will be your queen Kuno? Yusaka asked her daughter. Naruto reached into his box, pulling out his queen piece before glancing at Kuno, who seemed to be doing the exact same thing as him. With his free hand Naruto placed his queen piece against Kuno. Kuno also placed her queen piece against Naruto's chest. I command thee, Kuno, on my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Become my queen and walk beside me as a dragon. I command thee, Naruto Uzumaki, on my name is Kuno. Become my queen and walk beside me as a kitsune. As this was happening, the three adults didn't seem that surprised by this, to them this was the most likely scenario. While both Yusaka and Tiamat were satisfied with their children's choice of a queen. Naruto and Kuno's aura and power shot up again. Naruto was now on par with an average ultimate class devil, although he was still considerably weaker than Yusaka in his base form, although this is not counting any power-ups or enhancements from Kurama, Albion, or Drake. Kuno was almost on par with a newly promoted ultimate class devil. Naruto felt something weird turning his head. He noticed 9 tails cloaked in cerulean blue fur, attached to where his tailbone was, and gently rubbing the top of his head, he felt a pair of ears. Kuno had sprouted a pair of golden dragon wings from her back. This feels weird. Kuno said as Naruto chuckled at her. You feel weird? You only have a pair of wings, look at me, I just grew 9 tails and a pair of ears. Naruto retorted with a smirk as Kuno lightly smacked him. Ijuka cleared his throat, gaining the attention of the young couple. The same rules that apply to the evil pieces apply to these. Although only the two of you, my wife Tiamat and Kuno's mother Yusaka, are the only ones that have dragon or kitsune pieces. So be careful who you reincarnate, and just to let you know Naruto, your dragon pieces can reincarnate up to a god class, being the same goes to you Kuno. I've made some improvements from the evil pieces, although you can't reincarnate anyone who is at Heavenly Dragon class or higher. Ajuka said. Naruto bowed to his father as did Kuno to her future father-in-law. Thank you, Tusan Ajuka-sama. Ajuka just shrugged his shoulders. Kuno, you don't have to call me that, just call me Ajuka-sen or something. He said. I Chichiyu, Kuno said with a slight embarrassed expression causing everyone besides Naruto to choke on air. Naruto did his best to suppress a chuckle as he glanced at Yusaka and couldn't help but think payback was a bitch. Although Yusaka didn't seem to be that upset by it, nor did Tiamat seem upset. Ajuka just stared at Kuno with a blank expression before turning to Tiamat, who giggled. Naruto leaned towards Kuno before whispering into her ear. Let's go. He said as she nodded as the young couple left the throne room. Naruto and Kuno were walking hand in hand through the busy streets of Kyoto. Most likely they would be leaving Kyoto in a few days, so the young couple wanted to enjoy themselves. The security in Kyoto had increased ever since the Rizavum incident, and there have been several stray devils and fallen angels that had tried to start trouble in Kyoto but were quickly apprehended. Naru-kun. Yeah, Kuno-chan, what's up? Kuno looked her fiancé dead in the eyes. I know we're supposed to be relaxing before we head out to Kuo. But I was wondering if you could help me gain control over my new draconic power. Naruto smiled as he nodded. Let's go to our training grounds then. Plus, I'm going to need a little bit of help to gain control over the kitsune powers I gained too. Naruto replied. Why would you need my help? Can't you ask Kurama? Naruto stared at Kuno with a deadpan expression before shaking his head. No, I can't. You do know he's a massive chakra-given consciousness, right? Naruto said as Kuno blushed in embarrassment before turning her head to the side to hide her blush from Naruto. You know, just because I can't use magic or yokai abilities doesn't mean I can't help you, kid. Kurama's voice echoed throughout Naruto and Kuno's now shared mindscape. This is both a positive and negative thing since Kuno's status as a pseudo-Jinchuriki. I know the Kurama. And you've been nothing but helpful to both me and Kuno over the past 10 years. Naruto replied to his furry friend. It's been a while since the last time you talked to us, Kurama-sama. Kuno replied to the massive kitsune with a humanoid upper body structure. How many times have I told you not to call me Sama? Kurama whined, causing both Naruto and Kuno to chuckle-giggle at the strongest biju. Boy. Fox, don't yell so loud. Some of us are trying to sleep. The annoyed voice of Drake made itself known. Drake, you're no better than Kurama. So why don't you shut up and go back to sleep? Albion retorted. Naruto groaned as he sent a playful glare at Kuno. Kuno-chan, see what you did? You started an argument in between Kurama, Albion, and Drake. Kuno giggled at her soon-to-be husband's dismay. Sorry Naru-kun, I couldn't resist. Naruto couldn't stay mad at Kuno for long as he leaned forward, kissing her on the cheek. It's alright, it's a good way for the three of them to bond. Who knows, maybe they will become best friends. Naruto said offhandedly. There is no way I'm befriending these two sacks of scales. Oh, shut up, you good-for-nothing walking rug. Like any of us can become friends. Naruto must be delusional if he believes that will happen. The young couple rolled their eyes at the internal battle that was developing within their shared mindscape. Just ignore them and they'll eventually quiet down. Naruto whispered to Kuno, who giggled and nodded. Don't you dare ignore us, you little gakis. You're so cruel, partner. How dare you ignore me? Now intentionally ignoring the two heavenly dragons and the QB no Yoko, the young couple continued on their way towards the training grounds. Naruto stood off to the side as he watched Kuno getting used to her new dragon wings. She was a little bit shaky at first and nearly fell out of the sky and nearly gave Naruto a heart attack. Sure, Kuno can fly by using magic, but being able to fly with wings was much more beneficial. For one thing, it didn't use up your magic reserves, and once you master it, it was no different than walking. Naruto smirked as he saw Kuno zipping back and forth across the sky as he could hear her joyous laughter. Alright Kuno-chan, come on down. Naruto called out to his fiancée, who pouted at first but complied. Yes Naru-kun. As you know, I'm able to use 3 different elements due to my draconic heritage. My Kachan is one of the few dragons who possesses more than one element, namely fire. I want to see if you're capable of using something other than fire, such as ice or lightning. Naruto said as he raised his hands, and his left hand began to develop frost on it, while his right hand began to discharge deep blue sparks of electricity. Kuno frowned as she looked at Naruto. Naru-kun, I have no idea how draconic elements work. This caused Naruto to frown as he tapped his finger against his chin. Well, how my Kachan explained it to me was you simply infuse your draconic aura into your lungs or hands and imagine the element you want to use and unleash it. Naruto explained as he inhaled deeply before expelling a large wave of royal blue flames from his mouth. Kuno nodded as she did as she was instructed, closing her eyes and giving a calming sigh before inhaling deeply, infusing her new draconic aura into her lungs. opening her eyes as she unleashed nothing but a mixture of hot air and a few embers of blue flames. This resulted in Kuno beginning to cough as it felt like her throat was on fire. Naruto gently rubbed her back as he couldn't help but frown. It doesn't make any sense. I was able to unleash a massive amount of flames on my first try. Naruto thought before Drake decided to speak up. That's because most dragons can't breathe fire on their first attempt. You were a prodigy from the very beginning, especially since Great Red had a lot to do with your rebirth in this world. Drake explained. Does that mean I won't be able to use dragon flames? Kuno asked. Maybe, maybe not. Remember, not all dragons breathe fire. Look at me, for example, I produce large amounts of poison and venom. Apophis produces shadow and darkness as well as black water. The Idaka can't breathe fire either, instead he's able to create immensely powerful illusions and is possibly the greatest magic-wielding dragon ever. Albion explained. In other words, Kuno, just channel your draconic power and don't focus on any element, just let it flow. Kurama said with a fanged grin. Who knows, you may possess an element that no other dragon has ever possessed before. Kuno smiled as she nodded before channeling her draconic power into her hands as she brought them closer together. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Since when did the three of you ever get along? I know the three of you tolerate each other, but I wasn't expecting something like that. Naruto couldn't help but ask his three tenants. It is, you know, we often get on each other's nerves and fight a lot. But the three of us do care about you and Kuno. And we can put our differences aside if we must. Kurama explained sagely. Indeed, partner will always be by your side no matter what. The fox speaks with wisdom far beyond his years. What the hell is that supposed to mean, wisdom beyond my years? Kurama retorted. What Albion's trying to say is that you're the youngest out of the three of us. Drake replied before Albion could start another argument. To which Albion grumbled, muttering out a few words while Kurama and Drake seemed to ignore them or may have not even heard them at all. Naruto then turned his attention back to Kuno as his eyes widened at what he witnessed forming in between her hands. It was something he had never seen before. It looked like a congealed mass of fire. It appeared purplish and blue in color and it looked almost like a miniature star or sun. Naru-kun, do you have any idea what this is? Kuno asked, obviously confused. Naruto shook his head. Your guess is as good as mine. Perhaps we should ask my Ka-chan, maybe she might know. Naruto said before placing his hand on her shoulder. I'm going to teleport us back to the Imperial Palace. I know my Ka-chan is still there. Kuno nodded as Naruto closed eyes and focused. Hurration. In the blink of an eye, both Naruto and Kuno vanished in a blue flash. That's right, Naruto was able to replicate his original father's technique that made him famous and earned him the nickname the Yellow Flash. As a master of Senjutsu, Naruto had the ability and potential to learn both space and time manipulation. Within the throne room of the Imperial Palace, Yasaka, Tiamat, Ijuka and Amaterasu were all discussing the specifics of Naruto and Kuno's mission in Kuo Town. When a flickering blue flash appeared in the center of the throne room, revealing Naruto and Kuno, the latter of whom was holding a congealed sphere of bluish-purple flames. Tiamat was instantly drawn to the sphere of flames floating just inches above Kuno's open palms. I've never seen flames like these before. Tiamat said softly as Ijuka narrowed his eyes. He too had never seen flames like this. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned his attention to Yasaka, who was staring at him. Yes, Yasahahu. I have a feeling you came back here not just to show off my Musum's new flames. Yasaka asked while Naruto nodded. Yes. Well, you see, I don't know what kind of flames these are. I was hoping one of you could possibly help us figure that out. Naruto asked politely as Amaterasu smiled. Well, that's a simple question to answer, Naru-chan. Amaterasu chirped before making her way over to Kuno. These are not ordinary flames, they're even hotter than my divine black flames. This is plasma, the fourth state of matter, also known as ionized gas, consisting of positive ions and free electrons in proportions, resulting in more or less no overall electric charge, typically at low pressures. Amaterasu explained. Plasma, Naruto whispered to himself, he would have never guessed that on his own. Also, plasma can take the form of not only fire, but also lightning and even light. Amaterasu added. Her smile never left her face as she looked at Kuno. Kuno-chan, you have a very powerful ability. So be careful with this plasma as it can reach temperatures much higher than the sun. Ijuka then decided to speak up. I never knew the dragon pieces could create such a dangerous power. The current Beelzebub said to himself. So, it's basically a cheat code power. Having the ability to not only use fire, lightning and light all wrapped together in the same package. Ijuka said, feeling a little bit jealous. Tiamat glanced at her mate before giggling slightly. You're not getting jealous, are you, Ijuka-kun? The Chaos Karma Dragon teased. Well, Ijuka huffed while crossing his arms. I'm not jealous, I'm just intrigued, that's all. Ijuka retorted. Kuno calmly dispelled the ball of plasma as Amaterasu coughed, getting the young couple's attention. Naru-chan, Kunu-chan. I'm sure the both of you are well aware of your upcoming mission in Kuo town, right? Amaterasu asked as the two teens nodded as the beautiful goddess continued. Therefore, I have already signed you up to attend classes in Kuo Academy. So, you can keep an eye on the current Gremory heiress. However, please be careful, she may try some underhanded tactics to get you to join her peerage. Amaterasu said with concern in her voice. Don't worry, Amioba. Me and Kunu-chan will be careful, we promise. Naruto said before he got hugged by his surrogate aunt. Ooh. I'm going to miss the two of you. The two of you will be heading out tomorrow morning and you'll be starting classes the day after that. Amaterasu said before unintentionally burying Naruto's head into her bosom. Amaterasu, you're suffocating my son. Tiamat yelled as she noticed her son's arms flailing around trying to free himself from the prison of flesh. Amaterasu pouted as she let Naruto go, who fell to the floor gasping for air. Kunu rushed to his side. I understand you're gonna miss us, Amioba, but please don't do that anymore. Naruto whined, which Amaterasu childishly glared at him. Ijuka and Yusaka simply watched on with amusement as it was rare to see the Shinto sun goddess act so childishly. Naruto and Kunu were walking side by side on their way to Kuo Academy. Naruto wasn't too fond about wearing a school uniform. He wasn't one for formal wear. Kunu didn't mind going to school, in fact, she couldn't wait, although Naruto had to admit that she looked absolutely adorable in her uniform. Kunu's outfit consisted of the normal female Kuo Academy dress attire, a magenta-colored skirt, a long-sleeve white button-down shirt, a waist-deep jacket kilt-like thing, and shoulder cape thing, I guess you could call it that. Of course, she had to hide her yakai features, unless the young couple wanted to cause a scene. And as for Naruto, he wore the male version of the Kuo Academy uniform. Basically, he wore a black blazer, white button-up shirt completely open, wearing a blue shirt underneath, black pants, and he wore black shoes. Naruto didn't care what the dress code was, he was not wearing those uncomfortable brown clot hoppers they called shoes. Naru-kun? Yes, Kunu-chan. Won't Sona and Rias recognize you? The young vixen asked while Naruto shook his head. No, they won't. My identity has been kept secret from the entire underworld, only a select few know of my existence. And I know Syareoo wouldn't break our trust like that, although I'm not too sure about Surzage's. But I do believe he would keep it a secret, at least I hope he did. Naruto said with a frown. Are you sure the seal suppressing our power will keep us hidden from the devils, fallen angels, and stray exorcists? The daughter of Yusaka asked, slightly nervous, while Naruto nodded, giving her a reassuring smile. Of course, these seals were developed by Tsukiyomi-sama himself. Remember, it's his seals that keep Kyoto safe from supernatural threats. Naruto said. Naru-kun, you've met the other members of the Shinto Trinity, haven't you? Kunu asked while Naruto frowned, shaking his head. I've never personally met Tsukiyomi-sama or Susanoo-sama. I've talked to them through a magic circle phone but never in person. Naruto replied softly. The young couple came to the gate leading to Kuo Academy. This place was big, but not as big as the Imperial Palace or some of the mansions in the underworld. But it was still pretty big, and the young couple can clearly sense demonic energy flowing throughout this place. Naruto took Kunu's hand before they made their way through the front courtyard of the academy. And almost immediately all the students turned their attention to the young couple. On the male student side, they were all drawn to the beauty of Kunu. While on the female side, they were all drawn to Naruto's handsome figure. Holy shit. Do you see the knockers on her? Spoke a perverted young fat male. Which was followed by another male with perverted tendencies. I wonder if she's single because she's absolutely gorgeous like a goddess. Are you free tonight? Look into her eyes, they're so beautiful. Hey hot eye, why don't you ditch the dope and let's have some fun back at my place tonight? That was the most troublesome kid in the entire academy who howled out to the young vixen. Which didn't settle too well with the son of Tiamat, and now he was debating on whether to kill this kid. Kunu wasn't the only one getting harassed. Naruto had it just as bad. Look at him, his eyes, his hair, his body, he's absolutely perfect. Screeched one of the girls. Another girl with red hair and brown eyes screamed out. Hey, hot eye, come back to my place. I got sake and a boatload of porn, we can have fun tonight. A lot of fun. Okay, that last one sent shivers down the Uzumaki-turned-dragon spine and made Kunu want to kill this girl on the spot with her kitsune bai. I want to be the mother of your child. Naruto couldn't believe any of this. He and Kunu were trying to keep a low profile here, but they were getting picked off one by all these hormonal teenagers. This is absolute bullshit, I can't believe this. I'm gonna end up killing every male in this school. Naruto grumbled and thought. I'm scared. The boys back at home in Kyoto were never this aggressive. Kunu shivered and thought. Yeah, the young couple made a beeline for the academy, leaving all the hormonal students behind who were still sending out catcalls and wolf whistles towards them. Their first day at Kuo Academy and they already wanted to go back home to Kyoto. The Keno. Ria's Gremory, a young beautiful girl with crimson red hair and blue eyes, asked while she observed a strange spiky blonde young man and a beautiful blonde girl walking beside him. Do you know who those two are? That's one of our newer students, Uzumaki Naruto-kun. Akeno answered. If I am not mistaken, today is his first day at Kuo Academy. It's almost like he popped into this world. Akeno's delicate lips soon formed into a teasing smile. Why do you ask? Has Butchu become interested in one of Kuo Academy's newest students? Ria's completely ignoring Akeno's last comment. What about that blonde-haired girl walking beside him? Akeno then placed her finger on her chin. She seems to have arrived with Naruto-kun. I believe her name is Kunu-chan, no last name. It seems that they may be in a relationship with one another. Akeno's teasing smile soon returned. Why, you're not jealous, are you, Butchu? Ria's brow began to twitch in annoyance. No, I'm not jealous, Akeno. Akeno covered her mouth with her hand as she giggled. Ria's went back to observing the two blondes. Naruto and Kunu. Naruto and Kunu walked down the halls of Kuo Academy with one destination in mind: to find the student council room and get their schedules from Sona Shitori, aka Sona Citri, younger sister of Seraphol Leviathan and the youngest daughter of Lord and Lady Citri. Humming to a large set of doors, Naruto gently knocked. A few seconds later, a feminine voice came from the other side of the door. Come in. After hearing the verbal invitation, both Kunu and Naruto entered the room. The room was completely empty apart from two young women. The first young woman was a young bespectacled woman with a slim figure, black hair styled in a short bob cut and violet eyes. While the second one was a young bespectacled woman with long straight black hair that extends all the way down to her knees, with split bangs and heterochromic eyes, with a violet left eye and a light brown right eye. How may I help you? Sona asked while she observed Naruto and Kunu with a calculative gaze. Naruto gave the Citri heiress a warm smile which caused said heiress to blush. We're here to pick up our schedules. I'm Uzumaki Naruto and this is my girlfriend Kunu. Naruto said in a friendly manner as Kunu bowed her head slightly. Quickly shaking her head, Sona stood from her desk and handed the young couple their new schedules for Kuo Academy. Here you go. And please refrain from causing any mischief while you study here. Sona said with a sharp tone. You don't have to worry about us, we won't cause any trouble for you. Kunu said before waving goodbye. Naruto stayed there for a moment as his eyes narrowed at Sona and her queen Tsubaki. You're just as Syareoo described, Naruto said softly, causing Sona's eyes to widen. While you know my niece Sama? Sona demanded. Naruto nodded. Yes, I know her quite well in fact. But I believe a proper introduction is in order. However, I must warn you. You are not to repeat any of this to Ria's Gremory, Naruto said in a harsh tone which caused the two devils in the room to shiver. Kunu was gently tapping her foot against the floor, wondering what Naruto was doing in the student council room. However, she didn't have to wait long as the door opened as Naruto walked out with a smile on his face. What took you so long? Kunu asked her fiancé, who shrugged his shoulders. Just giving a proper introduction. Naruto said in a carefree tone, to which Kunu simply deadpanned at Naruto. Anyone who had known Naruto for longer than a day would know that Naruto never did anything properly. He always had a strange way of doing things, and funny enough, they always ended up turning out better than the proper way. Placing her hand against her forehead and sighed. What am I going to do with you, Naruto-kun? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. I don't know. Love me, feed me, spar with me. Naruto listed off in a sarcastic manner, to which the beautiful vixen slapped him. Oh, hush you. She playfully scolded him, to which he chuckled lightly. Within the student council room, both Sona and Tsubaki both appeared to be much paler. What they just heard from Naruto had scared them, no, it downright terrified them. Sitting in her desk, Sona had her face buried in her hands as she groaned. This is bad. This is very bad. Sona-sama. What is it, Tsubaki? Do you think Uzumaki-san was lying? Sona shook her head. No. His power alone should be enough to verify that he's telling the truth. He's easily on par with an ultimate class devil. He's not someone you want to make an enemy out of. It's best not to withhold any information from him either. Sona grumbled, feeling as if she wanted to cry. I hope it was worth it, Rias. Because of you we could be in a lot of trouble. Sona thought to herself. Should we warn Ria-sama about him? Tsubaki asked as Sona stared at her queen as if she was crazy. I already promised him I wouldn't say anything to her. And I don't know about you, but I currently like my position and I don't want to lose it. Sona retorted. Tsubaki nodded, respecting her king's wishes. Sona stared down at her desk before leaning back in her chair. To think Beelzebub-sama had a son with Tiamat, the strongest of the god Irem. Sona said as she simply couldn't wrap her mind around it. How could something like this happen and no one in the underworld knew about it? And who was Kunu? Yet another mystery that would soon drive her insane. In the second-year student classroom, we find a very frustrated-looking instructor who is trying to regain control of his class. It is complete and utter chaos in his classroom, no one was listening to him, so he commenced plan B. The instructor reached into his desk, pulling out a blunt object. It had a wooden handle and a long hexagon-shaped cylinder on it. It's a small sledgehammer. What would the instructor need such a dangerous tool for, you ask? Simple. Slamming it on the desk. There was a loud bang throughout the entire classroom, which made all the students jump in fear at their psychotic instructor. Now that the instructor had control over his class again, he cleared his throat. Okay students, we have 2 new students joining us today. The instructor spat out the word student as if it was a curse word. You 2 may come in now. The instructor said in a calm and friendly manner, unlike the manner he spoke to his class in. That was the cue for the young couple to enter the classroom. The door slid open, revealing both Naruto and Kuno in all their glory. The instructor then cleared his throat before speaking in the same kind and gentle manner. Alright you 2, please introduce yourselves to the class. Naruto flashed his usual foxy grin. Yo. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, let's try to get along with one another. Naruto spoke in a friendly warm tone that made all the females in the room blush and all the males green with envy. Next was both Naruto's best friend and fiancé. Konnichiwa. My name is Kuno. I hope we'll get along and be friends. Excuse me Uzumaki-kun. Asked a brown-haired girl with large circular glasses. This got the brunette's attention as well got the attention of the adorable but sexy Kuno. And yes, what is it? Yes, my name is Kiryu Aika and I have a question for the 2 of you. Where did the 2 of you come from? Naruto blinked as he stared at Aika as he wasn't expecting such a normal question. Oh, I and Kuno just moved from Kyoto and we decided to move here to this lovely little town of Kuo. Naruto said in a friendly manner. Aika's eyes widened in surprise. Kyoto, the 2 of you moved from Kyoto, why the city so beautiful? I wish I could live in Kyoto. Naruto's sweat dropped at the girl's reaction. Well, I do agree with you, Kyoto is a very beautiful city, especially the historical district. Also, we just arrived last night. Kuno answered before Naruto could reply. That Aki with the spiky brown hair and brown eyes, he's a pervert, I can feel it. Just like your perverted godfather Jiraiya. Kurama snorted in amusement as Naruto couldn't help but mentally nod. Yeah, he definitely is a pervert, alright, I can tell. Naruto replied as Kuno suppressed a shiver. The young princess of the Kyoto Yokai was not too fond of perverts. Partner, the boy with the spiky brown hair and brown eyes, the one glaring at you. He has a dragon in him, however I don't know what dragon is currently sleeping in him. Drake spoke. Yes, I feel bad for the poor bastard that's inside him. Albion said. Really now? Do either of you know which dragon is sealed within him? Naruto asked the 2 heavenly dragons. I'm not sure, he's far too weak to tell. Drake said bluntly. Plus, the boy has no knowledge of the supernatural world. Albion stated. So, what you're saying is this Irogaki is nothing more than a big walking target for the devils and fallen angels. Kurama thought aloud. This caused Naruto to narrow his eyes, he had a feeling that this boy was somehow involved in Ria's and Sona, purposely ignoring the fallen angels in Kuo town. But sadly enough neither him nor Kuno could act without blowing their cover. The last thing he wanted was to hear Surzich's whining and complaining about his precious Rias. Next came the perverted trio. The only one Naruto and Kuno remembered was Issei, the boy who held a dragon-based sacred gear. As for the other 2, neither Naruto nor Kuno couldn't remember their names, and they really didn't seem to care all that much about them either. And Naruto swore that he would kill the 3 of them if they even dare touch Kuno. The rest of the day went like any normal day in school, listening to the instructor yak on and on about stuff the young couple didn't need to know about. Ria sat there looking at the little white-haired midget known as Kaneko. Are you sure about this, Kaneko? The cute little white-haired girl with her emotionless expression answered. Hi. Something is blocking their aura, I can't tell if they're human or not. Kaneko spoke in her monotone voice. Rias frowned at this as she gently tapped her finger against her chin. She then looked to Kiba. Kiba, can you please bring them here after class? I would like to speak to them personally and get to the bottom of why they're here in my territory. A young blonde boy with a mole under his left eye and steel blue eyes nodded. Hi, but it shall be done. With that Kiba and Kaneko both left the room. Rias leaned back in her chair releasing a tired and frustrated sigh. Akeno then decided to speak up at this moment. Ara. It seems that we have a little problem here, don't we, Rias? That we do, Akeno, that we do. Naruto stood from his chair, the sound of the final bell signified his and Kuno's freedom. Looking towards his fiancée who had a similar bored expression. So Kuno-chan, what did you think of your first day of official school? Because this was the single most boring day of my life, but thankfully we can leave after we finish our mission. Naruto whined. Kuno rolled her eyes as she playfully slapped Naruto again. Standing up Kuno grabbed her bag as the young couple grabbed each other's hands as they began to make their way out of the classroom, only to find an obstacle in their way. That obstacle was none other than the blonde pretty boy named Kibayudo. Uzumaki-kun, Kunu-san, my butchu would like to have a few words with you. If you'll please come with me. Spoke the blonde-haired pretty boy. How about no? Naruto said before pushing Kiba away as if he was nothing more than a ragdoll. This caused an uproar amongst all the girls in the classroom, with the exception of a few. Naruto proceeded to ignore them as he made his way out of the classroom with Kunu by his side. Kiba jumped to his feet. Wait. He called out only for Naruto to turn around and glare at him, his once indigo eyes were now blood red with vertical slits. We're not interested in meeting your butchu. Blondie, now get lost before you get yourself hurt. Naruto said as he continued on his way, as Kunu stuck her tongue out at Kiba. Kiba was unable to move. The look Naruto gave him was enough to paralyze him in fear. What is he? The Knight of Ria's Gremory thought to himself as he couldn't stop shaking. I need to let butchu know about this immediately. Uzumaki-kun could very well become a dangerous threat if not dealt with immediately. Kiba thought before making his way back to the occult research club. The young couple finally made it home. No sooner did they open the door that they felt something was off. And something indeed was off. There was another presence in their house, and it was neither human, dragon, yokai, or devil. No, it was a fallen angel, judging by the signature. Naruto glanced at his fiancée as she nodded to him. Naruto summoned forth his katana, which was forged from the fangs of both Albion and Drake. Funny story about this sword, the fangs was in Tiamat's possession, and she never knew what to do with them until Naruto decided he wanted to learn how to wield a sword. So, she had the fangs forged into one singular sword, and the almighty blade was named the Heavenly Claw. While Kunu was preparing a spell in Kitsunbai to annihilate the intruder. Upon making their way through the hallways as quietly as possible, they could hear the TV playing. Making their way slowly towards the living room and peeking in, they noticed the intruder. He was a tall man appearing in his 20s with an average build, black hair, golden bangs, and a black goatee. The man didn't seem to notice them, either that or he just didn't care. Finally having enough, Naruto stepped in, aiming his blade at the man. Who are you? And what are you doing in our house? Naruto demanded, unleashing a large amount of killer intent, to which the man lazily glanced at Naruto before waving them off. Isn't it obvious I'm catching up on my favorite shows? You're free to join me if you want. The man offered in a carefree tone while Naruto gritted his teeth. Kunu studied this man closely before her eyes widened. She finally realized who this person was. You're Azazel, the Governor General of the Fallen Angels and Grigori. This stopped Naruto in his tracks as he stared at the man closely. Then tell me, why are you a faction leader doing in our house right now, especially in Shinto territory? Naruto asked as Azazel glanced towards Naruto. Very perceptive of you. I'm glad that you know Japan truly belongs to the Shinto gods and not the devils. As to why I am here, well, a few of my subordinates have disobeyed me and gone rogue. I believe they joined up with Kakabiel, who I had lost contact with several weeks ago, and his trail ends here. Azazel said with a serious expression despite his laid-back tone. Kakabiel, you have got to be fucking kidding me. How could you lose contact with him? Anyone with more than 2 brain cells knows he's a warmonger and would do anything in his power to restart the war in between the 3 biblical factions. Naruto said. So, I take it you're the one who sent the fallen angels to observe that boy Issei then? Kunu followed up after Naruto. Azazel nodded. Yes, my sources lead me to believe that he has a powerful sacred gear, possibly a Longinus. Naruto crossed his arms as he frowned at this. So, I was right, he does have a powerful dragon sacred gear. And from what I can gather, it's neither Albion or Drake, and the only other dragon-based sacred gear that I know of contains Vritra. Naruto thought aloud. Azazel seemed to chuckle at this. You're wrong, there are 2 more dragon-based sacred gears. Absolute Darkness is a Longinus candidate sacred gear, which holds the spirit of the Eclipse Dragon, Apophis. And then there is the other Longinus candidate sacred gear, Diabolism Origin, which holds the spirit of the Diabolism Thousand Dragon, Ai-Da-Ka. They are both evil dragons that had reached a level of heavenly dragon. Most believe that they were both annihilated, but they were both sealed in sacred gears shortly after their demise. The sad part is most people who are chosen to wield their sacred gears end up going insane. This caused Naruto to frown as he glanced at the leader of the fallen angels and could detect no lies coming from him. So, you believe Issei has one of the evil dragons in him? Kunu said while Naruto was most likely having an internal monologue with Albion and Drake, or possibly both of them. Azazel nodded as he took a deep breath. He most likely possesses Apophis, since my apprentice holds Ai-Da-Ka. Azazel said before standing up from the couch. Make sure that if his sacred gear activates and he can't control it, you need to dispose of him. Because there can be many casualties. Azazel said before walking towards the front door. Wait, what about the rogue fallen angels? Naruto said. Azazel didn't stop, nor did he look back. If they cause any more problems, dispose of them any way you like. Azazel said before opening the front door and walking out. This left the young couple alone before they glanced at one another. It seems things are going to be a bit more complicated than before, Kuno said before looking at Naruto, who pulled out his phone. I need to get in contact with my Kachan and tell her everything that's been going on. You should do the same with Yasaka Oba. Naruto said, not even realizing he called Yasaka by the original nickname he gave her. Kuno nodded as she took out her phone and decided to call her mother and give her an update. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.